Hello, everyone, and welcome to another great episode of the Gridiron Glory here with Will and Tad. This is a an episode where we look at the playoff picture specifically for the AFC. This is after week 14. Um First off, we have the 12-1 Kansas City Chiefs. They have clinched their ninth straight division championship. That's nine in a row that they've won. They clinched that with their victory over the Chargers. Then you have the Buffalo Bills, the two seed. They are 10-3. They have won the tiebreaker over Pittsburgh by virtue of strength of victory. That's a very close tiebreaker there. And the Buffalo Bills have in fact clinched the AFC East, so they will certainly be in the playoffs. Then we already mentioned Pittsburgh 10-3. They're leading the North. The Houston Texans maintain a lead in the AFC South with their 8-5 record, a two-game lead there. Then we have a three-way tie for the three wildcard start spots. Baltimore, the Chargers, and the Broncos, all 8-5. So a lot of dynamics there, and all three of those teams have a two-game lead on the teams that are outside. The two teams that are outside, relatively close to looking in. The Colts are 6-7. The Dolphins are 6-7.
And
And
the
I
Colts actually
suppose,
play the Broncos
and
next,
I
so that's going to be a big game for the Colts.
correct, and I assume that the Bengals. I mean, they're three games behind, but they did get the win, so they're 5-8, still mathematically alive. And then you have the Browns, Jaguars, Jets, Titans, Patriots, and Raiders all mathematically eliminated from the playoffs. So that is where we stand now. In the AFC, we have 10 teams fighting for the playoffs still.
Yes, 10 teams still alive in the AFC, 10 teams that still have a shot at hoisting the Lombardi. Yeah, so um, to me, it's like the Dolphins. I'm very impressed by their comeback. Um, it's the Colts and the Dolphins are going to have to really, really, really surge here, Tad. I mean, the Dolphins play at Houston. Oh, or no, they play Houston next, right? And then yeah, I mean, the Colts and the Dolphins have huge games coming up, and it's like the Bengals. It's like you'd hate to say it, but their playoffs start right now. Like the NFL
Mhm.
playoffs have started right now for the Bengals, and they have to treat that game like it's crazy. But going to play Tennessee, they have to treat that like it's a playoff game.
I mean, basically, if you look at the Bengals, they have to win all the rest of their games, and you could probably, and that might not even be enough if they do that. They could go 4-0 and still miss the playoffs. But I'd say like if you're one of the three teams that are on the outside looking in, you'd probably, even for the Colts and the Dolphins, you just want to win all your games. And then like if you're the three teams that are inside right now, the 8-5 teams we talked about, just keep winning, keep the teams behind you at an arm's length, and then you should be fine. But it would take a lot for any of the three teams outside to sneak in, I'd say.
Yeah. I mean, for the more less part of it, the AFC playoff picture you might could say is basically set. But 4, 5, 6, and 7, it's probably going to be a lot, especially 5, 6, and 7. That's probably going to fluctuate quite a bit.
Mhm.
Like with the Ravens, you probably figured they're going to beat the Giants coming up here in Week 15, so that they go 9-5. Chargers and Bucks, that's going to be interesting. Broncos and Colts, that'll be interesting. So, but looking at let's say the Broncos schedule in that sense, yeah. So they play the Chargers next week, the Bengals, and then the Chiefs. So that's going to be very interesting there. The Colts they beat the Broncos that say, or the Broncos beat the Colts say this week, and then next week they beat the Chargers on the road Thursday Night Football. That's going to have major seeding playoff implications, Tad. So that game next week, if the Broncos and the Chargers both win this week, okay, then they play each other next week. That'll probably be a huge seed determining factor. And then if we're looking at the Ravens schedule coming down the stretch here, sir, let's take a look at it really quick. Yeah, the Ravens. Oh my God. Yes, you play the Giants. So you got to figure, Tad. going into this week, 5, 6, and 7 could probably all be realistically a good chance of 9-5 there, let's say. And then and then the Ravens play the Steelers. After that,
Mhm.
I mean, that's going to be insane. I don't understand why that's also on the same day as the college football playoff, but that's a huge game right
Oh
there.
yeah.
Yeah, and then the Ravens versus the Texans after that, and then the Browns and the Ravens. Who knows? But
Well, I mean, the Ravens, like, if they can win the 4 games in front of them, I mean, they're still like right in there to even overtake Pittsburgh for the division potentially, depending on how things go for Pittsburgh. I mean, it's a 2 game lead. If they could get the split, and I mean, Pittsburgh doesn't have an easy schedule looking down the stretch either by any stretch. At Philadelphia, at Baltimore, home against Kansas City, and then home against the Bengals. So, I mean, it's that division race is not over by any stretch of the imagination, I would say.
same with the AFC South. The Colts still realistically could have a chance to win that division. If we're looking at the Texans schedule here, they
Yeah.
at the Chiefs next, so they play the Dolphins this week, big game. Then they play at the Chiefs. That's going to be tough. And then they play the Ravens, and then at the Titans. So there's still a lot of question marks there. The
The big
Steelers,
issue there for the Colts is the Colts were swept by Houston, so the Colts would effectively need to make up 3 games on Houston in 4 weeks. It's not over, but that's going to be a big stretch to make up 3 games in 4 weeks.
and then you still got the Bills kind of chasing that. I mean, the Bills and the Steelers are kind of still chasing that one spot. I mean, you got to figure
Mhm.
the Chiefs might be able to lose 2 games, but even looking at that, not looking likely. Unless did the Chiefs officially clinch the 1 seed?
No, I mean they're up 2 games with 4 to go. I mean they haven't clinched anything.
Yeah, they got the Texans and then at the Steelers and then the Broncos. So I mean, you got to figure they could probably finish. I don't know. They could probably go 3-0 in that stretch.
Yeah,
It
I
just
mean
depends
we'll
on
see what
if
they do.
it just depends on that last week if Denver's resting starters or not. Both teams would probably be resting starters in that game, you'd figure, but we'll see.
We'll see. I mean there's a lot of different ways things could go.
So yeah, it's going to be an interesting stretch for the playoff picture. I mean, yeah,
For
you got
sure.
three, so you got more teams eliminated than not.
What if you were to pick like one team that you could see like making a run late in the season and getting some momentum going into the playoffs, who would you see that team that could get hot late in the season in
The
the A?
Buffalo Bills,
The Buffalo Bills.
and I could see them even beating the Detroit Lions. But yeah, looking at the Bills schedule, coming down the stretch here, I mean, if they were to contend for that one, you got, you beat the Lions, boom, versus the Patriots at home, the Jets, or no, you got, oh my gosh, okay, aside from the Lions. The Bills could make a really strong case for that 1 seed if the Chiefs could lose a game or two because the Bills would own the tiebreaker on the Chiefs. I mean, because like Bills play at Detroit, that'd be a huge game for the Bills if they can win that game. And then you got the home against the Patriots, home against the Jets, on the road against the Patriots. You go 4-0 in that stretch. You maybe pray for one more Chiefs loss or what?
Two
Yeah,
more. Two
one
more.
more, 2 more
Two
Chiefs
more.
losses, and the 1 seed is yours.
Hmm. Yeah, in all likelihood. And then of course there would also be Pittsburgh who if they could go 4-0, then it could be a 3-way tie. I'm not sure how that would shake out, but that could just be a lot to break down on late in the season, a lot undecided.
A lot undecided, but I'm just kind of trying to maybe predict how some of this could go. I mean, the Steelers and the Eagles, that's going to be a huge game coming up for them. And then, yeah, at the Ravens, at the Ravens versus the Chiefs at home. You talked about that 1 seed, Tad. If the Steelers can take a game from the Chiefs, that would be huge. And then the Bengals, January 5th. So, Tad, like you said, a lot still up in the air with seeding in the AFC.
Certainly.
But we'll definitely bring you another episode going into Week 18 so that you guys know what to look out for. Be sure to stay tuned these next couple of weeks. It's going to be juicy. It's going to be fun. Be sure to like, subscribe, and follow the Gridiron Glory podcast here with Tad and Will all season long. We're covering all 32 teams and playoff pictures. So, click that like button. Follow us on Facebook. And, thank you all for your great support.